Phase 1. An unexpected beginning when restlessness becomes a question. Imagine standing on a ledge. In front of you, a wide-open life. Behind you, everything familiar and comfortable. That inner edge is exactly where the Danish philosopher Søren Kierkegaard lived. Kierkegaard was born in 1813 in Copenhagen. He grew up in a home full of thinking, arguing, and reading, especially with a father who was deeply contemplative, marked by guilt, faith, and doubt. This atmosphere planted the seed for Kierkegaard's own lifelong question: what does it actually mean to truly live? He went on to study philosophy and theology at the University of Copenhagen, but the more he read, the more uneasy he became. The great philosophical systems of his time, lots of logic, lots of concepts, lots of books, felt cold and abstract to him. They talked about human beings without really touching the actual, lived experience of a single person. Kierkegaard sensed that something was missing, something deeply personal, the trembling, the wrestling, the real uncertainty of life, the anxiety everyone knows but almost no one takes seriously. Out of this dissatisfaction, his life's project was born. He didn't just want to write about the human being in general. He wanted to write for the single individual, for someone like you and me who lies awake at night, delaying decisions, wondering, am I really on the right path? And that brings us straight into our core theme, how fear leads to greatness. For Kierkegaard, fear, or anxiety, is not a defect to be fixed, but a signal. Not a stain on your soul, but a doorway. Phase 2. Existential anxiety, when freedom makes you dizzy. Kierkegaard uses a special word for a special kind of fear: existential anxiety. He's not talking about what doctors diagnose as an anxiety disorder. He's pointing to something more basic, the inner restlessness that shows up when we suddenly realize how open our life actually is. From the moment we're thrown into this world, nothing is truly guaranteed. We don't know how our life will unfold. We don't know how long we'll be here. We don't know which of our decisions will change everything. Again and again, we end up at crossroads. What kind of work do I want to do? Do I stay in this relationship? Do I risk a fresh start? This openness is liberating, but it's also terrifying. Kierkegaard puts it like this: anxiety arises when we feel how much freedom we actually have. His famous line is, "Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom." When we look straight into the depth of our possibilities, we get dizzy. Anxiety reveals how huge the field of possibilities really is, how little we can control, how heavy the responsibility feels when we truly have to choose for ourselves. For Kierkegaard, anxiety isn't just a feeling, it's like a philosophical magnifying glass. Through it, we see the big questions more clearly. Who am I? What do I really want? What am I willing to stake my life on? Later existential thinkers pick up the same idea. We're not only afraid of falling, we're also afraid of our freedom to jump, to choose, to act. This is where the movement from fear to greatness begins, not by pushing fear away, but by reading it as a sign that something truly meaningful is at stake. For Kierkegaard, fear, or anxiety, is not a defect to be fixed, but a signal. Not a stain on your soul, but a doorway. Phase 3. Passion and subjective truth. What are you willing to live for? Kierkegaard is clear. Anxiety alone doesn't make us great. What matters is how we respond to it. We live in a world overflowing with options, information, and paths. This abundance can paralyze us. We're afraid of making the wrong choice, regretting something later, being judged by others. Yet in this very overwhelm lies our freedom and our chance for greatness. Kierkegaard says, we need passion. Not just hype that's here today and gone tomorrow, but a deep inner orientation, something we take seriously with our whole life. That passion can take many forms: love and relationships, artistic or creative work, a calling in our career, personal growth, ideas and values we truly believe in. Here he introduces a key idea: subjective truth. That does not mean anything goes or everyone has their own facts. It means there are truths that only become real when a person commits to them with their life. Kierkegaard's point is simple and radical. The crucial thing is to find a truth that is true for me, an idea I'm willing to live and die for. That's the moment where fear starts turning into greatness. We feel the uncertainty. We know there are no guarantees, and we choose something that actually matters to us anyway. This kind of choice requires what Kierkegaard calls a leap of faith, not just in the narrow religious sense, but in an existential sense. The leap to love, even when you're afraid of being hurt. The leap to be honest with yourself, even when it costs you. The leap to walk a path that feels true on the inside, even if no one else understands it yet. In that way, anxiety stops being a blocker and becomes a catalyst. It reminds us that our decisions carry weight and invites us to choose something larger than our comfort. Phase 4. The courage to act. Away from numbing, back to yourself. Fear can hold us like an invisible rope. We think too much and act too little. We spin in endless what-if loops. Opportunities pass by because we're too scared to reach for them. Kierkegaard warns, if we let anxiety paralyze us in the long run, we slide into despair, a life where we keep functioning on the outside but aren't really present on the inside. Instead, he calls us to turn toward our anxiety consciously, to feel what it actually does inside us, to name what we are truly afraid of, and then to move anyway, step by step. He also sees anxiety as a kind of compass. Often it points toward exactly the areas where we're supposed to grow. We fear intimacy. Maybe we deeply long for real connection. We fear being seen. Maybe there is something in us that's meant to be shared. We fear change. Maybe we've outgrown an old version of our life. Kierkegaard criticizes two classic escape routes that keep us small. Conformity, just going along. We adopt other people's opinions, dreams, and goals. We do what you're supposed to do. Slowly, we lose contact with our inner compass. Distraction and numbing, endless entertainment, consumption, busyness, anything that keeps us from being still and looking inward. Things that soothe us short-term, but leave us empty long-term. To move from fear to greatness, we need something that almost feels radical today. Inner stillness, self-reflection, moments of brutal honesty with ourselves. Kierkegaard invites you to take time for questions like, what exactly am I afraid of, and why? Which decisions have I been avoiding for years? What kind of life would I live if I stopped organizing everything around other people's expectations? In that quiet confrontation, something new starts to form. A clearer sense of who you are, what you value, and what is actually possible for you. And from that clarity grows something crucial, the ability to act, the courage to take small, concrete steps while fear is still present. Phase 5. How fear leads to greatness. Your leap into an authentic life. Finally, we return to the core question. How does fear actually lead to greatness? Kierkegaard's answer is both simple and radical. Life will never be fully safe. There will never be a perfect moment when all doubt is gone. Fear and uncertainty belong to human existence the way shadows belong to light. Greatness doesn't appear in the absence of fear. It appears right in the middle of it. When you recognize that anxiety is a sign of your freedom, when you see it as a signal that something important is at stake, when you're willing to move into areas where you can't control everything anymore. Kierkegaard roots this movement in his faith in the Christian God. But you can also read the logic more broadly. Wherever you commit to what gives your life deep meaning, even without guarantees, even without applause, you grow beyond who you were before. In a culture that often labels anxiety as weakness or illness, Kierkegaard's philosophy reminds us, fear shows that you're awake. Fear shows that your life actually matters to you. Fear shows that you can sense how much might be possible. How fear leads to greatness means you stop treating fear like an enemy to be destroyed. You start reading it like a map. You choose to walk toward the very places that scare you, because that's where your growth is waiting. Maybe today isn't the day you reinvent your entire life, but maybe today is the day you have a conversation you've been avoiding, Finally make a decision that's been waiting inside you for years, or simply admit to yourself, I'm afraid, and that's exactly why I need to look at this. Right there, in that honest look, begins what Kierkegaard would call greatness, a life that isn't driven by fear, but made deeper, clearer, and more authentic through it.
If you enjoyed this journey, feel free to subscribe to my channel. More inspiring impulses are waiting for you there.